this weekend,
Oh yeah.
this weekend I went to Orlando for a series of shows, and I got to do uh, uh Don't Tell, which is basically where they put um they basically it's like pop-up comedy shows at unconventional places, like places that you don't normally do shows at.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of them are places that don't even serve food or alcohol. Like a lot of times it's BYOB. So I did a show at at a smoke shop, basically, like a brand new smoke shop, and then I got to do comedy at MegaCon, and that was super fun.
That's awesome.
A lot of
Tell people what MegaCon is if they don't know.
So for
I don't know.
MegaCon, for those who don't know, a lot of people heard of San Diego Comic Con.
Comic Con.
It's basically that. I just found out Orlando MegaCon now is the number 2 largest convention of that sort in the country, behind San Diego Comic Con now.
Oh wow.
That's what I was told. I don't know the truth or validity of it. I didn't do the research, but that's what I was told.
I've performed at Comic Con.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what I performed at Orlando MegaCon, which is a comic book movie, nerdery type of convention.
Yeah.
They have a lot of panels from movies. This one isn't large enough where they do showings or of trailers and screenings and any of that stuff. But they have like a huge selection of celebrities. Like this year, they had like the whole cast of Scream.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
You can do meet and greets with them. Not a lot of pro wrestlers because they happen to do MegaCon the same weekend as WrestleMania.
Oh,
Usually there's a lot
yeah.
of pro wrestlers and stuff. That's like my jam. But I got to do stand up comedy. And after the show, it's like it seemed like after every show, I got invited to something cool. And I love like surprise, like the first night I did a MegaCon. It was more comics just hanging out eating burritos or some shit. Then I did Don't Tell at the smoke shop.
Yeah.
And then I got invited to a karaoke bar, and it was at one point it was like my comedy buddies and me, and I broke off from them. They were still there, just on a different place, different area of the venue, and then me and 9 girls all drinking and singing whatever the fuck was being sung by the other karaoke people. It was super fun. I was like, man, this feels like heaven. This is cool.
Yeah.
But then one of the funnest ones was, and this is why I'm sore right now. My calves are killing me. My neck is sore. I got after MegaCon, the second show for me, and the third show for the group I'm attached to called the Geeks of Comedy.
This group you all performed?
Yeah.
It's all Florida people?
Yeah, it's all Florida comics, and we do MegaCon, and we also do like specialty shows throughout the year. So like coming up in May, we're doing a show in Orlando at the Orlando Improv, where we're doing the roast of Darth Vader. So it's a Star Wars roast on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Whole thing. And so we do comedy shows at Orlando MegaCon, and so
Are you a Star Wars fan?
My thing is I became a Star Wars fan later in life, because I used to think that was some nerdy shit, dude. I was like, fucking nerd. But then I got into movies, and then by proxy I had to know about Star Wars, and then I got into it. Now I'm not as in depth as some of my other counterparts that are in the little group or whatever, the Geeks of Comedy. But I mean, I know enough to keep up and stuff like that, and I know enough to like write jokes for this roast. So when we do these like MegaCon shows, like a lot of people think you got to go full nerd. You can't. No, half the audience is nerds.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I feel like a point of pride with nerds, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're not especially nerdy.
No,
you sort of ride that line. I feel like you're like myself. Like we're like nerdy, but we're like we're not like on the full end of like.
You can't.
You point them out and you go, that dude, like
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like if you got too nerdy with performing with a crowd of nerds, real ones,
Yeah.
that they will kind of like nitpick and sort of like kind of push back against, like if you're trying to make points about You know, because it's like if you're not doing it how they see it, I feel like they get mad.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you're like Jar Jar Binks is pretty awesome, guys, right? And they're like, no.
yeah. I mean, but that's where you as a comedian come into play and be like, hey, like I'm gonna sell you on why I think Jar Jar Binks is cool.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that whole thing. And no, you're right though. You're right. That's why. But the thing is, we're
Mind you, I couldn't tell you a thing he says or what he sounds like. I
me
know
jabba jabba jabba. Yeah, it's kind of like kind of like this weird.
I know
Jamaican-y,
he looks like an anteater, kind of like
like
he's
a
got,
Jamaican
big head.
anteater.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is he supposed to be black?
that was the thing.
He's like Jamaican.
That was the thing. They were trying to make him Caribbean, like a Caribbean thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like that
I
was.
want to say I saw that movie in theaters. I couldn't watch the old Star Wars, like the first ones, the originals.
Oh, the New Hope and Empire Strike Back and
all those.
Yeah.
I tried to several times throughout my life, like force myself to sit down and watch it because I know it's important and I know and I'm like not that I should like it, but it's like I should at least experience it.
Yeah.
And I can't even watch it because it's been parodied in comedy so much, and that's like my background of viewing.
Oh, so you're living a Mike Lawrence bit. There's a comedian named Mike Lawrence who's
I'm familiar with him. He's a roast joke writer.
And he also
he's a
writes for a
comedian,
bunch of shit. He has a joke about him not enjoying Star Wars because he saw Spaceballs first.
Oh, okay. That speaks to my heart because that's how I feel. I can't watch it and like get into it because I'm just like laughing the whole time. I'm picturing Spaceballs and Richard Dreyfuss, the SNL sketch, and then like Family Guy's done a bunch of shit, and like it's just so many Star Wars parodies through every comedy thing ever, and I just watch it and it just makes me laugh. I don't know.
Yeah, and also, those movies were made in time when the attention span of the average viewer was different.
Yeah.
So they're long and they're kind of, I mean, they're, and then George Lucas remade them a bunch of times.
Was there not a lot of like space, like world created movies at that time? Like why is Star Wars such a big deal?
Well, when Star Wars came out, the first Star Wars, 1977, no, there wasn't. There was
like 2001: A Space Odyssey, so that was 60 something, 68.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Whatever.
I mean,
it was like not
the exploration of space and the worlds that Star Wars created. It wasn't touched on.
Yeah, because 2001 kept it like pretty realistic.
It was just a space station, and it showed inside. It didn't show like fucking laser battles and chase scenes and shit like Star Wars did. It's hard to get into those movies now because we live in a world where all these massive CGI projects have been made.
I hate it.
Yeah, so it's hard to get back in. And then George Lucas kept remaking them every couple of years. He would add more effects and stuff to them.
Yeah.
And I found out the reason why.
Oh,
I thought it was
tell.
I thought it was to keep up with like the times.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. If I'm not mistaken, George Lucas kept adding stuff every couple years to it because one of his ex-wives was attached to the original Star Wars movies. So she was like an executive producer, a writer, or something. And so every time that he did an update to it, it was basically essentially creating a new Star Wars. So she didn't get any royalty money off the new Star Wars movies that he kept coming up with.
Oh wow!
So so there's just like now the crazy thing is it creates a demand for it created demand for original VHSs and stuff like that from the original Star Wars because every time he did a updated version, it was just it was done. Everyone thought it was done to all technology is different, so he's just updating the Star Wars. No. It was a fuck you to his ex-wife because of
just out of spite.
Well, it was alimony. So
Star Wars, a new spite.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So that's what I heard. It was like he basically kept doing it every couple years, every 10 years or so, and because just those slight changes basically made it a new movie, and she was the producer for the original one. and so she
Wow.
had no touch. And she had no affiliation to the updated ones, so she got no money off the royalties.
God, that's some petty nerd revenge.
That is
That's wild.
unbelievable petty nerd revenge.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's funny because I mean, I don't know if it's any good, if Star Wars fans consider that good or bad, but like he could have made like all these massive amounts of Star Wars films. That I feel like there's how many Star Wars films are there? There's a million by now, right? Because they have like offshoots and stuff.
Well,
on all these streaming services. Disney
they got
Plus and stuff.
So basically,
Anakin, and like what's the?
Well, they got the original trilogy.
God, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, they got the
Mandalorian.
Well, Mandalorian, yeah, it's an offshoot.
Is that
series.
Star Wars?
It's Star Wars. Yeah,
it's the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it takes place. During
that should be our podcast. You explaining nerd stuff to me.
Yeah, me not necessarily nerdy looking, explaining it to someone who, by all standards, would probably look more traditionally nerdy.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Yeah, I'm the guy who fights people, but I'm explaining nerd shit to you. No, but so the Mandalorian takes place between so like the one with Jar Jar Binks, that's the first 3 movies. That's the prequels. Those are the prequels.
Yes.
And then the Star Wars that came out in the 70s
Jar Jar
and 80s.
Binks and the soccer ball.
Soccer ball.
Isn't there a soccer ball character in one of those? It's like a robot that looks like a soccer ball.
There's a couple of those in a couple of different movies, so I'm not sure which
okay.
one. Like, so...
Anyway, prequels.
Yeah, prequels. That's the original trilogy prequels.
Yeah.
It ends with the creation of Darth Vader. And then there's the trilogy from the 70s and 80s. That's the middle. And then there's, like, movies interjected in between. There's, like, 2 movies interjected. Like, one between the 2 trilogies, and then one that takes place after all the movies. And then The Mandalorian takes place somewhere in between. And then there's an animated series. Oh, dude, it's so much fucking Star Wars shit.
No wonder people like it a lot, because that's a lot of
it's a lot of content.
That's a lot of content to go on.
Yeah, it's a lot of content, and they do a really good job of really exploring the backstories of people, even side characters. And then the side characters are linked. But The Mandalorian does a really good job of linking characters that, like Boba Fett was a popular character. I don't know if you remember Boba Fett. He was the guy that had a jetpack in the 70s and 80s ones. I
don't know. I know that is a name, but I don't know what it is.
Okay. But he's
Is he a good guy or a bad guy?
He's technically he's a bounty hunter. And he works with Darth Vader in the original 70s and 80s movies.
Oh, so he's like Darth Vader's hitman kind of deal?
Essentially. Yeah, with bounty hunters, they really don't work. They're not good or bad. They just work.
They're just like
And the Mandalorian he's in the same breed of people as the Boba Fett. They're both Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is like a group of people, and in the series, the Mandalorian thinks he's like the last of his people, but then Boba Fett exists.
Okay.
And then he finds out that there's other Mandalorians. It's so in depth, but like they're kind of badass characters. The Mandalorian, they're like the cool people, the nerd world.
Yeah.
They're badass.
I envy people who could like this stuff, because it seems like it would be fun to get into, because there is so much to go on. And I actively try to, and for some reason I look like I like. No,
but the thing is, I think it's all in how people's minds work. So everyone that gets really into Star Wars, I'm convinced that a huge swath of the population in the world is autistic, and to get into worlds to that magnitude and to that depth, it requires your brain to operate a certain way. It requires
like submerge
to submerge yourself into
immerse yourself into
a brand new created world. There's a level of autism that is required, and I only have part of that. I don't think you have that particular. If you have autism, it ain't that. that ain't your thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I have something else.
yeah. Yours would be like gained knowledge for other things. Like you have things that when we talk, I'm like, oh wow, you have a very expansive knowledge on that. Like this, like cooking,
Yeah.
like food and knowledge of food. That would be your shit. Like so, like everyone has different things that like kickstarts their little tisms.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's true.
And for you would be food knowledge and like knowing about how to make a focaccia bread versus so focaccia bread is your Darth Vader. That's that's your shit, dude. Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, it's like Boba Fett. No, feta cheese. Boba feta cheese. Fucking yeah. So I think that's everyone's brain operates a certain way, and I think people that operate within that realm of like extreme nerdery, like Dungeons and Dragons, like those people get really into comic books. They get into series, you know, like, and they can't just they don't just stop at one movie. Like if you told them like, yeah, I watched John Wick 2. What? You watched John Wick 2? But you didn't watch John Wick or John Wick 3 or 4?
Yeah.
They fucking lose their fucking minds, you know. And it's
I kind of envy that though, because I seriously like I actively try to immerse myself in a world like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I'm like everyone says this is great. Let's watch this, and I like get myself real comfortable, get like snacks.
Yeah.
And get all settled, cozy, and put it on, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is happening?
I mean, but also my thing is, I used to be that. I used to be that level, like that, when it came to like X-Men movies and all this, like the Marvel cinematic. I'm still kind of that way. I keep track of like all the Marvel movies, but I haven't watched a lot of them because I just don't have enough time in the days. Like I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Like I used to be more submersed in these worlds when I had a lot of free time. I wasn't fucking, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, like, hey, you want like? I mean, if the girl was like wanted to bang, was like, hey, you want to watch this? Like, fucking, you want to watch X-Men?
Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Like she's like, let's watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, those are good movies. I don't know if you've seen those.
So okay, let's debate. Because I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's a common one where people will bring up like. They'll be like, hey, do you like superhero movies? No one asks if you like superhero movies, but I'll bring up that I do not like superhero movies.
Yeah.
And they go, what? And then they'll bring up a few. Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay. I saw it, a bootleg version on a 15-inch laptop, but I saw it. And sure, it was 10 feet across the room.
Sure, Star-Lord was Indian. He wasn't Chris Pratt, but...
It was in a hut in... But we watched it, and my gathering of Guardians of the Galaxy is it was 2 hours of people meeting each other. So like you'd have the scene would open and it's a guy, a character, and he's like washing his face or cooking something or he's hanging out, and then another character like comes into the scene and they're like, we don't get along because we're different. And they're like, I'm different this way, and I'm different this way. And like, but you know what? Maybe we should work together. And then they go to the next scene, and then there's a different character, and then they're just being themselves alone somewhere doing a thing. And then those two come in, we don't like each other. Yeah, this is how
you just described literally every origin hero
movie. Oh, dude, I'm just what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
And people love it. They're like, what are you doing? There's a fun 70s song at the end. And and I'm like... I hate that I can't loosen up enough to just be like enjoy it. Like, I wish I could just... I wish I could just enjoy it for what it is. Yeah. But I can't get out of myself to be like... I feel like a curmudgeon or something.
No. I mean, it's. But the thing is, your mind, how you view that from a comedian standpoint, fucking brilliant. Like it's like we don't get along, and for different reasons. Let's go to this other scene where another person that we don't get along with resides. Like
but they all gotta work together. Yeah, and they're like, I guess we gotta work together
for a common thing, but we don't get along. Remember that.
Yeah.
Don't forget that we don't get along.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is fuck. You know what took me? I like, I've seen a handful of superhero movies. Like I've given them a chance. There was a poem read in a Wolverine movie that I retired from superhero movies forever, and I don't remember what Wolverine movie it was, but they're like on a bed or something, and there was a poem read, and I knew the rest of the movie based on the poem. As soon as they read it, it was blatant foreshadowing. Was it? But like insulting. It was insulting, and I knew that I hated it. I don't know what it is. It was at nighttime, I think, and I want to say it was a woman, and he wrote a poem to a woman. It was a Wolverine poem, but I don't know. I hate it. Oh man, I got worked up.
Hey, bub, like your juicy tits. Love Wolvie.
People love Guardians of the Galaxy, though. They get mad if you don't like that one.
No, I don't. My thing is, out of most of the Marvel movies, it's probably the most entertaining.
It's funny, right? It's like
the dialogue's very witty and silly and stuff like that. I think the second one was the better of the once it's out.
I'll go back and I'll watch it. Like I'll give it another chance on a regular size television instead of a laptop.
Yeah, I think once they get past the point of like the origin of meeting each other and all that shit, and they actually get to the plot.
Yeah,
and then there's the banter between each other, because like for example, like one of the characters is Drax the Destroyer. He's played by former WWE wrestler Dave Bautista.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and so he's this big brute guy, but the thing is, he takes everything literally. Like everything, like he doesn't understand nuance and sarcasm.
Okay.
And so where dialogue with him is funny is like, if you're like, I'll kill you. Like if you're joking, like how we're joking, he goes, you won't kill me. Like he said, someone said a joke and they said it to him and he didn't get it. And he goes, it just went over your head. He goes, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast, or something like that. It's just stupid. It's stupid. But he just like nothing. Like nuance and jokes like that, he doesn't get them, and it makes it funny because he doesn't understand jokes. And then as the series goes on, he understands jokes, but then his humor becomes like dark and twisted. So there's a trailer for the third movie that's coming out.
Yeah,
and they exit a spaceship, and they go to what looks like Earth, but the creatures on this planet are not humans. They're like anthropomorphized animals, like a dude in a business suit, but he's a panda bear, and there's this little kid, like a little kid rabbit thing or whatever, is bouncing the ball and then rolls the ball to Drax the Destroyer, and he picks it up, and instead of like bouncing it back, he fucking yeets it at this little kid and knocks her on her ass because he doesn't understand what she's doing,
Yeah.
And so that's for me, that's what a lot of people find funny is like the different characters and how they like, because they're all aliens. They're all alien to one another, and so they don't understand like the insides.
They're different people, and they're meeting each other.
And so
I'm sorry. I should do it on stage because I should just start insulting nerds on stage.
I wish you told me this before I did MEGACON, dude. Dude, you should have joined the MEGACon.
Oh man,
you would have either got the most laughs or.
I think that's what we should do for our podcast. We could switch up the format where you could try to make me like
different nerdy shit. Yeah, like some comic book movies.
And we could just we could hash it out comedically.
God damn it.
Star Wars, I'm not convinced. I mean, I kind of have more of an understand. I have a better appreciation for the world, I feel like.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I would give a second chance based on what you're saying, because I feel like I could find it funny if I just would allow myself to enjoy it. But
I think oh, good.
I was gonna say part of the reason I think maybe I don't enjoy it is because I have the look and body, and like people look at me,
you just assume,
and they would just go, "That guy fucking just can't wait to go home and watch Star Wars."
Yeah,
right now, or Guardians of the Galaxy probably loves it. I probably has a poster in his room, and that's not me at all. Like, watching like economic videos.
Yeah, But and this may come off as controversial. I think some people get into these worlds because their childhood sucked, and it's like escapism.
Escapism
Yeah.
is a big.
Yeah,
It's also something I you know what I have escapism. It's the same thing. It's I enjoy true crime, which is like, and I feel that's like a form of escapism.
it's escapism within the parameters of reality.
Yes, I enjoy the reality thing because I feel like real life is terrifying enough. So
Yeah.
like I appreciate, I know that you could. It's like aliens and whatever, but like
But I mean, monster
so much
movies,
scary shit that happens.
monster movies and sci-fi aren't as scary when you live in Florida.
I know this shit is real here.
Yeah.
There's some real stuff
Like,
happening.
oh, Chewbacca! Like, yeah, that's Dave. He lives in Ocala.
He's schizophrenic.
Yeah, fucking.
He huffs paint.
Oh,
Yeah, Florida's cool. I like that it's real lively here.
but it's so funny they said that though about the when I perform at MEGACON, you can't just go nerdy because everyone in the audience isn't that. Like the audience,
that's what
the
you're
audience
saying.
is a
You're just
portion
different.
of those people, and the audience is also a portion of people like you that are like, I don't really get into this shit. I'm here because my nephew wanted me to come, and I was free on a Saturday, and I, like,
Yeah.
So when I do comedy there, I do like I like how you said I'm like kind of straddling the fence. That's exactly how I do my set. My first set that I ever did for any the first time I ever performed there, it was the roast of Batman, and I was Bane. And,
right.
Yeah, and it was like
remember
I was doing a bunch of awful jokes, like racist, and like I did a joke. We had this was literally a couple years after the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting.
Yeah.
And my character, I go, oh, Joker. This is the joke. This is within the context of a roast, so just bear in mind. I go, oh, the Joker. Yeah, you've done more to ruin the movie going experience than babies and black people.
Oh my God.
So that's one of the jokes, and people started. First of all, most people couldn't hear me because I had the fucking
Yeah, you
mask
have the
on.
mask on.
So it's like,
you're
the black people, yeah, like that whole thing, right? And
racist Bane.
racist. I know
So
that this,
funny.
and some people that heard the joke were groaning, and I go, "Oh, shut up! I'm a villain. I'm allowed to be racist." So, yeah. But there was a guy.
Oh my God, dude.
There was a guy in the panel that played Professor X, so it's made no sense.
Yeah.
He's not in the Batman universe, but we allowed it because the guy that
Was he bald?
yeah he went all out as Professor X.
Oh, he wasn't bald before this? I thought he was just a bald guy who was
No.
brace.
I think he wore a bald cap and had someone do he went out for it.
Yeah.
But also this
He had a
particular guy,
levitating wheelchair.
this particular guy is
That
killer.
was knowledge.
What was that?
I said he had a levitating wheelchair.
Oh, okay. We found your nerd shit, dude.
Yeah. I used to buy comics when I was
Oh,
really
okay,
really
gotcha.
little. X-Men.
Okay, so that
X-Men,
was so you were
Spider-Man.
Got you. So you got some keen knowledge to that world.
Very very little, and I was like 6, 7, like
Okay.
real little.
Yeah.
I used to go to a flea market, and they had a comic book stand.
Yeah.
And they had this cool thing where you could pay $1, and they had a bunch of balloons on a stick, it was almost like a little balloon tree, and you could pop it with a dart. They just handed you a dart.
Yeah.
You pop a balloon, and it would have a little note in it, and it would have a dollar amount, and then that's how much it was worth. So it was always at least $1, but sometimes it went up to 5 or 10.
Yeah.
So you could get it was sweet. It was
That's pretty
it was a
cool.
fun system because popping the balloon was awesome as a little kid.
That's okay. I love. So we're talking about surprises, and
You a swap meet, or you go to swap meet. You should do that.
yeah. That reminds me of a time when I was a kid. I used to go to a flea market, and there was like a toy stand, and this lady had grab bags. I love grab bags.
Grab bags are awesome.
God damn, I love them. I don't know what it is. It's just
I have a good website that does a mystery box thing. It's called I would say it Nakatomi Inc.
Yeah.
It was like Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard.
oh shit.
So Nakatomi Inc. and it's like an art, pop culture art kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a bunch of those. That's what Loot Crate is the same
Okay,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of subscription series of like grab bag type things, like
Oh, yeah,
mystery
yeah.
boxes. What are you gonna get? And then like it's always something different. They even got one for like manly men, like
Oh yeah, Man Crate or whatever.
yeah. And
I
you
always
get,
hear
like,
them on
it's like shaving stuff and knives
podcasts,
usually.
yeah.
So, yeah. But all this based off people love kids, grown-ups, everyone loves mystery, like mystery boxes, grab bags. And I remember you said that like there was this toy stand and it was always like $1 and there's like all these like paper bags full of toys and the toys are always GI Joes with like a knee missing or something shit like that. But I was like, I don't know, man. I might find Destro or whatever.
Yeah, you gotta look.
Yeah, that was a character in GI Joe, by the way. But I was
I
just like,
sort of remember that.
yeah,
G.I. Joe.
yeah, GI Joe. Yeah, I mean, everyone has it. I think it's just how long
Who
do
wants
you
a
carry,
body massage?
how body massage machine go
Mr. Body Massage Machine. God damn it!
pork chop sandwiches.
I laughed to my soul from those videos. That came out. I think I was in college when I saw it. I forget.
Oh man,
Oh man, I laughed so hard.
dude.
You gotta. Hopefully, everyone knows that reference.
Yeah, that's
G.I. Joe,
is it,
dubbed
Finstler
G.I. Joe.
Finstler Films or something like that.
I
It was
don't
Finstler
know.
Films, and it was like GI Joe PSAs that were dubbed
G.I.
over.
Joe PSA dubbed.
And
over.
I remember I hung out with this girl. There's a I think you know her. She's a comedian, Carly.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
First time I met her. The first night I met her. I met her like my introduction to her was I walked in on her in the bathroom.
Oh
She forgot to lock the door, and I was like, "Ah, shit,"
yeah.
And anyway, so long story short, later that night, she got drunk, and we had already exchanged like numbers or whatever. And she was at a gas station, and she was like, "I'm freaking out." And so long story short, she had to catch a flight the next morning, and by the end of the night, she was hammered and freaking out because she didn't pack. And she calls me, and I just met her that night, and she calls me, and she's like, "I need help packing." I'm like, "What do you want me to do? Come over and help you?" And she's like, "Could you?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yeah." I thought something else might occur too.
Yeah.
She's a very pretty woman. She's a gorgeous lady. She's a good friend, but gorgeous
Yeah.
woman.
Come over and help me pack.
Yeah.
That's, that sounds like a bad woman line.
Yeah.
That sounds like a.
And
Girls are not always good at flirting because they don't have to be. You
Yeah.
know? And sometimes they'll say something like
but
that.
but that's exactly what occurred.
But she just wanted you to come over and
I
she's
did,
like,
yeah.
you look like you fold clothes well.
Well, no, we didn't even fold clothes. This is how high she was. She's like, "Hey, look at these vacuum bags. Just throw whatever you can." And we just threw a bunch of shit in vacuum bags.
Yeah.
And then turned on vacuum cleaner, threw them in the suitcase. We're good. And I'm like, "All right, so like, when's your flight?" She's like, "Oh, it's like 6:30 in the morning." I looked at the time. I'm like, "It's 4:00. Like, you're not gonna get to sleep or anything. So what are you gonna do in the meantime?"
Yeah.
She goes, "I don't know. Like, you want to like you want to smoke weed?" And I was like, "Sure." Like I was like, so then she's like, "Hey, you want to watch?" Like, all right, we're watching. What are we watching? And we watched all the GI Joe PSAs.
Oh.
We watched all those. It was good. Yeah, I wasn't
So
sure.
funny.
I wasn't sure if anything was going to occur. In my deep rooted man brain, I was like, please let something occur. But I had fun. We get smoked weed and watched all the GI Joe PSAs, and then I was like, "Oh, so how are you getting to the airport?" And she was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I'll just take you, fucking." Because an Uber, I think an Uber is gonna be like $40 to take her from where she lived to the JX or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a $40 Uber.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah. But I don't know why I went to that whole story, but I just remember that was a big part of the night was getting high and watching all the GI Joe PSA dubs.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Look at all your silly colored hats. But that's what were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
I didn't know if I cut you off or.
No, I was thinking with an
No, I mean one of my things that happens a lot is I don't know. It's so weird because I look like I'm made of murder. You know what I mean? I think that's what I think.
Yeah.
But that's not what ladies think. Apparently, they think I'm some cuddle bear, and I get invited to do cool shit by attractive women pretty often. Like I got to hang out with Bert Kreischer one time at a pool
nice.
party because this hot girl I was hanging out with invited me to this pool party, and then like this weekend while my calves and neck are sore was after MegaCon, I was walking out of MegaCon to Orlando Improv. MegaCon parking was like $31. It was as much as fucking Disney. It was unbelievable.
That's a lot.
And so I had parked at the Orlando Improv, and it's like $10 all day. And if you go inside the Improv and validate your parking, it knocks it down to like $2 or some shit like that. I just gave away all the secrets. But
I know. I remember validating at one comedy club and then walking to perform at the other one.
Oh, dude, that's fantastic. That's that's fucked up and great. So I was getting ready to walk to the Improv with my buddy who also performed on the show, and I hear Crespo, like my name, like last name, and it's like someone, if they're saying it like that, they know me through comedy.
Yeah.
And so I go see, and it's my friend Kat who lives in Daytona. She's a cool chick. She not a comedian, comedy adjacent, but she's like over the years she's lost a bunch of weight and just toned up and like she got banging body, big nice jiggly tits. Titty meat. Yeah, I don't mean to degrade her like that. She's a sweet girl. She's very attractive, but she does cosplay. She does a lot of cosplay.
Oh yeah.
And she got invited to a rave after party that was sponsored by like this group called Deviant something, and it's basically like strippers who do cosplay. And
wow.
Yeah, and so she was like, "Hey, I got a me plus 3, and this a guy named Scott. He's a comedian from Daytona, and his girlfriend, I can't remember her name. I'm terrible with names. They were there, and there was supposed to be another friend, and that friend bailed. And she's like, "You want to join?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm walking with my buddy. Like, I don't want to leave him hanging. I'm like, I'll feel fucked up if I just ditched him." And she's like, "Okay." And I left, and I went to my buddy who was still waiting. And he goes, "What was that all about?" And he goes, "This my friend Kat. She's invited me to this like rave party that's sponsored by like strippers who do cosplay or something." And he's like, "What are you still talking to me for?"
Yeah, exactly.
And so I go back and like Kat's excited because
it's like the final scene in Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
The town is back that way.
and so I get there and the Kat's excited. And then so I get in there and like it's kind of a dud party at first. Like there's an empty dance floor. There's a couple of jiggly tit stripper cosplayers, just doing their little bouncy thing or whatever. And the DJ's playing music, and the music's not bad. I'm like, all right, I can get that. So me and a couple other people just start. Basically, we get the party started, and then more people are dancing. More people are coming to the dance floor, and then I'm talking like 5-6 songs in. Now the whole dance floor is full of other hot people, and they boot us our fucking uggo mugs off the dance floor. Essentially.
Yeah.
We get phased out real quickly. All the hot young people are down on the dance floor dancing, jiggling tits and dicks and whatever. But I'm still in party mode, and so I'm making the most of this like an invitation basically that my friend Kat, and so I then make it my life's work to go throughout the room, this big conference room, and dance from perimeter to perimeter and get all the wall. Like I'm looking at people that are like wallflowering, but I can see the ones that are moving their shoulders, but they're like too afraid. They don't want to go to the dance floor because they don't want to be,
They just need a little rub,
And so that's all I did. I just went from the whole dance floor and just like got people involved, like dance party little sections.
Nice.
And at one point there was a guy in a wheelchair who I don't think can move anything but his neck, and maybe like his hand for the controller.
Yeah.
He was just there.
Professor X.
Daytona Professor X. Yeah. So this guy, he was there, and I could see he wanted to get there, but like, who's gonna let the wheelchair guy on the dance floor? So I was like, fuck this, man. We'll bring the party to him.
I've seen it done, and it just, it's just it's happening,
So I get to the guy, and I start like and then a couple of the jiggly tit stripper cosplayers come over there, and they start like doing this, and they're just bouncing, and
Yeah.
and it was so funny. The smile on this dude's face.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, he was like, he was like fucking losing his shit, and then I just kept moving around, and I did that for 2.5 hours.
Oh,
I
wow.
danced. I think I took maybe a 15 to 20 minute like pause,
Mm.
and then I just danced, and I was going hard. I'm like jumping around and doing all this shit. At one point, they got me in the middle of a Soul Train circle, and like there was a guy that did like a backflip, and he had his legs open. And I did that run and slide under him,
power
and
slide.
and then I did this, and like I did all this stuff. And I didn't realize that like I hardly had anything to drink, so I had like a beer and like a water. But then on the walk back to the improv, I felt my calves and my neck and my body was so fucking sore. And then I got this huge
And probably dehydrated.
I was completely dehydrated. I got a Charlie horse, and it was hurting so bad. And if you saw me, it looked like I was trying to emulate a zombie, because I was just going and I was dragging my fucking leg, literally like the equivalent of like 3 football fields length.
Yeah.
I was like, ah! and I finally got to the improv, and like there was this comedian named Matt Rife, who's like he's like this hot dude that all these girls love or whatever.
Where is he based out of? I didn't know.
L.A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like this hot new comic. Like it was gross seeing the women that were there.
Yeah.
Like, because it wasn't young girls. It wasn't just young girls. It was like grown women who probably had to put their kids to a sitter to go watch a 22-year-old comic who is honestly like not super hot, but he's hot by male comedian standards. Yeah. It was. I don't know. It was weird.
Hilarious.
But
that's so funny. Yeah, it's funny when you see like male comics that are especially good looking, because you're just like, why though?
Yeah, why are you here?
Yeah.
Let me do my thing, all right?
Yeah.
You got all your hair, you got all your teeth, you got blue eyes.
It's like that scene in Louis, when the girl heckles him, and he's like, you have like a great life, and we have like, we got like 10 minutes to, it's, yeah. That's cool though. That's dancing. That's nice. That's a fun evening.
It's fun, but I'm realizing I'm rapidly getting older.
Right? Yeah, you feel
because that amount of dancing was
you got to find yourself a hot tub.
Yeah, I need
a hot tub and a muscle relaxer.
Yeah,
I don't know where you get that.
Or stretch and hydrate probably before I do anything.
Well, all of that.
Yeah.
Fuck. All of the above.
God damn.
Some heat.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I was going hard. I was going hard in the paint. And then I felt it. It was like when I fought that guy. That meth head attacked me a couple of years ago.
I thought, that video is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot there was a video of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment I was like, yeah. And then I walked back to my car, and I was sitting in my driver's seat, and I was like, oh my God, everything hurts. Yeah. But
man,
holy shit.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. But yeah, surprises and celebrations. Good shit.
Yeah. Well, to close out, you had a surprise.
Oh yeah, I had a. This is interesting. I had a birthday party. Your birthday was Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And then mine was in March 8th. But a friend of mine who also is an ex-girlfriend threw me a surprise party.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I didn't expect that, because it was like you were there, my brother was there, one of my comedy best friends, Christina, was there, Chris Buck was there. All these people, I thought all of you guys spearheaded. I didn't know she spearheaded it.
It was like a group chat. But she started it.
I mean, but I didn't expect her.
And we were all like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
And then she did everything else.
Yeah, I did. That threw me off guard. It was, but I was legitimately shocked. Like,
it was so cool seeing you walk in, because your face. I don't know if you've ever seen someone in genuine shock and disbelief, but it was so fun and cool to see you. Just sort of like like it was like your brain was like trying to catch up to
That fucking lasted for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was having conversations with you guys, and I was not there because I was just like, "What the fuck?"
You're like, "Am I dead? Did I get hit by a car?"
I really didn't know what happened. It was and also my brother did a really good job of really getting me out of the suspicion of like what's going on, because he was like, because everything that makes sense. He was like, "Yeah, man, I got a work party thing. We're going to have some drinks at Rain Dogs." Like, Rain Dogs. Out of all the places that have drinks, you're gonna go to like Rain Dogs, like this bar here in Jacksonville, and there's like other places more corporate-y. My brother works at the school board, and so I was like, why would a bunch of school board people go to this particular bar? Didn't make any sense. And then I just got done working with Howie Mandel.
Yeah,
and my brother was like, "Hey, bro, just heads up. I told them about that, so they're gonna want to ask a lot of questions about that." So he did a great job of getting me
threw you off
because I was like,
That's
how
good.
can I streamline this fucking story?
Well done.
Yeah, and so I was just like, all right. So I did, and then I walk in, and then I saw Tucker, and then I saw you, and then I started seeing everybody. I was like, what the fuck is everyone here for? And then my brother's like, happy birthday, bro, and I was like, the fuck? and then literally for 40 minutes I had no clue what was going on. I was just like trying to piece it together,
just floating around.
Yeah. It's very funny.
Yeah, it was funny, and I felt like you and people were like handing you gifts, and you're like just like had like a glazed over look. You know, it was so funny.
Yeah. Also, another thing that's not stated is I generally don't like a lot of attention brought to me.
Yeah.
Off stage.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
In those situations. So that was another thing. It was like it was a mixture of it like being legitimate and surprised, and then also like, oh god, everybody's you know. And then, like, one of the things I don't like is like when I'm handed a gift and like people are like, open it. I'm like, oh, fucking no.
Open it and look at it and appreciate it.
What's the quality?
Tell me how good I am at getting gifts.
Yeah, but I still wear the wrestling shirt, by the way, that you got me. And that pizza was badass. It was delicious.
Thanks.
Two different styles of pizza. What was it?
Yeah, one was a flat. I did like my regular style, like a kind of Sicilian style or like Italio Roman style. But I did like a flat New York style, and it wasn't great. I have
we ate it all, but it wasn't great.
Everyone ate it. I made pizza for when I was at the Comedy Zone. I made a pizza for like Green Room because everyone was complaining that they were hungry, and then I was like, I'll give some to the staff and stuff. And that one came out. That one came out like one of my normal.
Yeah, it was
pizzas.
good.
Yeah, that came out solid.
I'm sorry to go to your standards, you pizza nerd.
It was the Darth Vader of pizza. No, that's great that you had that surprise. That was a cool experience.
It was fun. I like I said, I was legitimately surprised.
Yeah.
I've had people try to throw me surprise parties in the past, and I was always caught on.
Yeah.
Or when they're like, surprise, like, oh, wow. And I'm terrible acting. I see better acting in porns, you know. And, but this one was like legit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's not cool to just walk around and meet people for 2 hours. Oh God, that might have been a separate episode. I don't know which episode.
No, that's spot on, dude.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of superhero things and like movies and stuff, and that's all the first movie is like. Here's the introduction. Yeah. Very rarely is it like, I think the first Iron Man was pretty good, but like all of them just like.
I hope we have some like passionate nerdy listeners who this gets mad.
Oh fucking
and they comment.
Fucking, they're gonna come at us.
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't you dare talk about my dear Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's not cool to make nerds mad, but it is cool to be foolish.